Hey, you know that guy who just before the green flag keys up his mic and asks, "Anybody got a setup?" Well, this is him. This is Adam, and hey, Adam needs some help. On the other hand, this guy over here, this is Steve. Steve is a solid racer and he knows his way around the garage. Steve's problem is time. With a job and a family, he can't find enough time to build competitive setups and to race as often as he likes. But as luck would have it, Steve knows a secret. He lets the Majors Garage crew chiefs do the setup work so he can focus on the racing. At majorsgarage.com, Steve can get setups for over 60 cars on the iRacing service. So no matter what series he wants to jump into, he is covered. Somebody, anybody, really should tell Adam. See you at the garage.
Hello and welcome back to Inside the Majors after the summer break or winter break, depending on your hemisphere. Since the last episode, I've been in the States and I got to attend my first IndyCar race, which was great. After dodging some tornadoes on the way there and meeting up with some fellow Major Series racers, I got to take in the Iowa doubleheader. So it was great to go to my first oval race, first IndyCar race, take in a different form of motorsport, and also get to see lots of cornfields. For today's episode, we're going to have a listen to some of the stories I got from a couple of open mic sessions that I did where a few people shared their Majors 24 experiences and thoughts on the race. A lot of the focus on sim racing is at the top end, so in things like the iRacing broadcast, that's where the pro sim races reside, but the core of the Major Series is casual and enthusiast racers, and it was really cool to have a chance to hear from that part of the community, which far outweighs the aliens when it comes to races like the 24. So we'll get cracking with my Majors 24 story in brief on the other side of this, and then we'll hear from the more interesting guys after that. So, the Majors 24 is the focal point of my sim racing calendar every year. It's on our family calendar, on the wall, months in advance, and everybody knows that don't expect to see me for that weekend. I've said that a few times on the podcast in the past. It really is true. I even held our family holiday until after it was done this year, although not by much. I was literally at the door to the airport around 4 hours after the race finished. But anyway, as always, this year was a great experience, and the weather changes brought something we've never had before and that we've always wanted. And yes, there was some trepidation from many before the race, but for me, it was a superb feature and I really enjoyed it. Anyway, so our team's race was one of keeping a cool head, and as a result, after 4 years of trying, we finally cracked it for a Majors 24 win. The race started okay, but when the first band of rain came through, we had a couple of wrong strategy decisions and fell a little bit behind. And when the first safety car came out at a really inopportune time as far as the pit cycles were concerned, we found ourselves caught a lap down. We knew from that point that we were going to have to try and find a way back onto the lead lap. And whilst we were running pretty competitive on speed, marching through the field to get back onto the lead lap purely on pace wasn't exactly going to be easy. So before that first safety car finished, we pitted a second time and actually put wets on, even though the track was still dry, knowing that the rain was coming soon, to try and get a jump ahead and get ourselves off sequence and jump back to the front of the field. And it actually worked. After a couple of laps, the rain came, and because we were already on the wets, we'd lost a little bit of time by running them in the dry, but we were able to stay out on track and then essentially got ourselves most of a lap down, but not a full lap down. And so from that point, we found ourselves in basically an hours-long battle to retain that being on the lead lap, albeit quite a ways off the lead, but we needed to do that until the next safety car came out, and so it was pushing quite hard for many hours for all of our drivers. And then when the second safety car did come out, the plan had worked and we managed to get essentially the 3.5 minutes back onto that lead lap. And from there, it was game on. We pretty much just ran a consistent pace, tried to stay out of trouble. And we were told with about an hour to go from the broadcaster who was in doing an interview with us on the run, that we were the only car left in Split 4 that hadn't used our fast repair. And so it was a real case of staying out of trouble and letting everybody else lose time. And with about 4 hours left, we were the only car in the lead lap in our class. Safety first to the end. And it was really cool after 4 years of trying with the same team to crack it for a win. So that's how it went for me and my team. But now let's have a listen to some of the others share their stories. The first you'll hear from is Mike Mann. Now, we had an amazing chat in the open mic session where we covered his experiences, not only at the M24, but also track days at several circuits in the US, and how to cross over the real world and the sim helps with each other, how the Glickenhaus Le Mans hypercar found its way to being on display out the front of his coffee shop in Florida, which was a pretty cool story, and plenty of other aspects of Mike's experiences in and around motorsport. However, a tech failure meant a large portion of that chat didn't get recorded, and I can promise you I was extraordinarily unpleased by that. So we will for sure have to get Mike back on the podcast in the future to hear some of those amazing stories in full. But we did get some of Mike's thoughts around the Majors 24 captured. So we'll start with those, and then we'll hear some of the other competitors that joined me over the sessions as well. So enjoy. Mike, welcome to Inside the Majors.
Hey, mate, thanks for having me. It's excited to be here.
So, Majors 24, tell us a little bit about your experiences for that race.
We had a great time. It was a lot of rain, but we also found out that we were actually pretty quick in the rain. And we didn't like it at first, but we found out that we're actually pretty good rain drivers. We learned quite a bit about ourselves during this race, and that's, I think, one of the big things about sim racing. You know, it's kind of it's a cool experience, and I think that's a lot what sim racing is about, is finding out who you are as a driver and your abilities and your capabilities and expectations. And it's awesome. I'm super high on league racing, and specifically what you guys are doing. I've done a couple other different ones. I do Apex Racing League right now and a couple other ones, and yeah, it's a really great way to learn to race properly if you're into that kind of thing. And I think a lot of sim racers appreciate the realism and the respect of other drivers. I always get a kick out of watching Max give Oscar Piastri a high five, like stuff like that, where they respect each other. They're racing hard as can be, but at the end they're like, "Hey man, good for you. It's a good race. Like, that's awesome. Like, I don't know how you got half second on me, but good for you." It's just amazing to see the respect amongst other people. I think you find that in leagues more than you do in like official races.
You said you and your teammates aren't or didn't consider yourselves wet weather races, and you weren't really looking forward to it. How did you go in terms of testing prior to the race? Because obviously everybody knew that there was going to be plenty of rain. It was going to be a big part of the race. So how did you go in terms of getting ready for it? Did you do a lot of wet running? Did you just kind of, we'll suck it and see in the race and figure it out as we go? Or what was your approach to that aspect?
I'd say I did probably 5 hours of racing myself in wet weather, because the team that I'm on is not 100% like committed to this. I'd say the other guys did an hour or two of wet racing. However, we found out, like I said, we went with a wet setup to start, which a lot of people I think may have done dry setups with wet tires. We went with a wet setup with dry tires to begin, and then switched over to wet. And we've done a couple other races. We did Sebring and some other iRacing stuff, longer endurance races. And I just found, don't rush to get on dry tires. It was the thing that we found. I guess really good drivers can get on dry quicker, but we're not that great. So we stayed on wets as long as we could. And that was our thing, just practice wet. We knew there was going to be a lot of it. Yeah, we just found ourselves doing really well. And again, we're not great. I'm 1600 I rating. The other guys are a little bit lower. But we closed the gap. It's the great equalizer, they say, with rain, and we really just started doing some better laps. And I'm like, guys, we're doing pretty well. Let's just keep our shit together. And yeah, we hated the rain, but I was like, we're doing really well. We're moving up. Like, I think we'd crashed earlier and we're a little further down the field, but we managed to do a really good job moving back up in the rain sessions. I'm like, hey, hate it all you want, but we're doing pretty well. And that's part of racing. Like, it's never perfect. And that's why I kept telling the guys, I'm like, guys, this is real life. Like, in real life, it rains. So you can't just do dry tires. Like, let's get used to it and let's put our heads down and race. And luckily we were having a good time and raced pretty well. We liked it quite a bit. So yeah, I thought it was an awesome thing. I don't know how it was received by everybody else in the field. So for what that's worth, our initial reaction was, man, this sucks. But then we're like, hey, actually, we did quite well.
You said that you had an incident earlier in the race. This was the first year the Majors 24 has included a fast repair. Did you have to burn the fast repair early and then found yourself in the pits doing further repairs later on? Or how did that aspect work?
Yeah, we did a fast repair with, I think, like the second lap out. We just got caught, I think, coming out of Tetra Rouge. That's a while ago. I think we got some contact in Tetra Rouge, and yeah, basically drove back into the fast repair because it was going to be like 4 or 5 minutes. And we're like, hey, let's just get it done right now and do what we can. So after that, we were our repair cost us, I think, 12 to 16 minutes the first time that we went through. And then honestly, in the nighttime, we ended up getting a true endurance racing thing where our guys more or less fell asleep. And And yeah, we were, like I said, pretty well taken out at the 2 a.m. Eastern time hours, but came back and stayed in it and kept going. And I can't remember how we finished. It's like I said, we do quite a few, but yeah, we enjoyed it. It was hard, but I keep thinking, man, that's what endurance racing is. It's hard. It's sleepless nights. It's like it's hard. It's supposed to be hard, and that's what makes the guys who are really good. And it's not for the faint of heart. You got to really practice hard. And that's another thing I always tell people about sim racing. Like I said, we're down here in South Florida, and I got a lot of race car guys. Can you imagine flying to France and testing for an entire week and practicing eating properly, sleeping properly, and then going out in the car and then getting taken out in Tête Rouge in the first turn and then just being done with it? Like, how would that feel to you that you got to fly home after that? You spent your entire week and all that money and hundreds of thousands of dollars as a team owner to be over there to crash out in the first turn by some guy who just, I don't know, lost the rear end or something. And you just happen to be on the outside of him. Sim racing is frustrating, but it's nowhere near what it is in real life. As far as the cost, the amount of time you spend traveling, all that stuff, I'm like, guys, we're lucky this is not real. Because can you imagine the amount of time and energy and money that we would have spent to go do this in real life? We're lucky this is just a sim. And that kind of always keeps me, I get very frustrated when people crash into me, but at the same time, I always keep a little bit of perspective going. It's not that bad in the end. It is actually just a sim. So another reason to sim race.
Yeah, it's and the reason that a lot of us are sim racing, as I said before, is because we either don't have the money, time, or spousal approval to be able to do that. And that's why we're doing it. And the cars might be simulated, but the competition's real. You get to have those feelings and emotions without the physical pain or the financial hurt that comes along with with all of those things. And one of the things about the Majors 24, because it is such a pivotal race or such a focus for the year for a lot of people in this community. There is no do-over. It's not an official race where there's another one in 2 hours or a special event where there's 4 sessions. And if it happens in one of the earlier ones, you can go and do one of the other races and have another crack at it. You only get one go at this a year. And,
Yeah, I think that's another key point of what you guys are doing. It's real. I mean, it's not a practice. This is it. This is the real thing. Like, we've been getting ready for it. And even my team, like I said, we did practice. I spent a couple hours doing wet racing, and it's 10, 15 hours on my behalf getting ready for that particular race. And yeah, you crash out in the first 2 or 3 laps, and somebody's like, hey man, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm like, well, I'm doing it because we're finishing the race, man. This is the only race this year. So we're going to do it. We're going to finish it. And my company name is on the team. We're going to finish it no matter what. We're going to, even if we finish 25 or 30 or 50 laps down, we're going to finish. We're going to go through the repairs. We're going to go through the whole thing. We're going to be tired. We're going to do the simulation and feel what it's like to be a Le Mans driver. That's the whole point. It's not, these guys don't just show up and go, oh, I'm tired, man, I got to go home. It's like it's commitment. And that's part of the simulation. It's the reality of having teammates, having pressure, having setups. And like you said, you do one race a year. It makes it even more important. It's not we'll just crash out and we'll do another one 2 hours. No, this is it. This is the race. This is a big deal. This is an important thing. So I appreciate what you guys are doing because you're making it more real. Like, iRacing's fun. I think it's amazing and all that stuff, but it's missing out where you can just, escape, restart, and then go again. That's not how racing is. It's traveling to the track. It's doing practice. It's doing qualifying. It's going out for the race. And if you screw up and you let your teammates down, then that's it. That's a real thing. That's what racing is in real life. So I appreciate what you guys are doing. You're doing the real stuff. You're making sim racing real rather than just a 2-hour gap until the next official race.
Well, I'm certainly glad that you enjoyed the experience and hope that you'll come and do some more racing with Major Series, whether that's in an individual capacity or with the other team things that we do, the special event later in September around Road Atlanta, or the Majors Endurance Championship, which will be kicking off again in January or February, some point early next year anyway. But yeah.
Without that, mate, it's your stuff you guys are doing is what makes sim racing worthwhile. I think iRacing's great, but you guys are doing the stuff that makes it real, and I appreciate what you guys are doing. So I'm definitely in.
Thanks for sharing the experience that you had in the Majors 24 with us here on Inside the Majors.
We keep doing it. Appreciate what you're doing, and there will be all the different races coming up. Looking forward to it.
Hello, Austin. Thank you for joining us on Inside the Majors. Tell us a little bit about your Majors 24 experience this year.
So we were in split 10, so we were a bit lower, but ended up pulling off the win in the Cadillac in the GPPs, which was pretty awesome. Very fun experience. Personally, for me, I thought the rain was kind of nuts, just having the track basically wet the entire time, except for a few hours in the night. With about 3 or 4 hours left, the guys in second wrecked, and we were like, oh, yeah, we got clean sheet to victory. But no, with about an hour and a half, I hopped in the car, and on the outlap, track was still like a little bit wet, just barely, but it was also super hot. So coming down to Indianapolis, locked it up and put it in the wall, and had about 10 minutes in repairs. We'll say I got a little bit angry. Ended up hopping out of the car, having one of our other drivers running the rest of the race, and it was definitely fun. I'm definitely glad that I did it.
So with a 10-minute repair close to the end of the race, you must have had a massive lead, obviously, to still win from that point. What was the ebb and flow of the race? Did you lead for most of the time? Was it a case of there was constantly people changing the leads as people had incidents or struggled with the rain? How did the actual flow of the race sort of pan out across the 24 hours?
Down in split 10, it was definitely back and forth for a little bit. We did lead a majority of the race. I think we led just over 200 laps, but there were 5 or 6 other cars within the first 18 hours that were definitely with us.
And the incident that you had late on that you said cost you 10 minutes or so, there must have been something that happened earlier where you used your fast repair. Was there really only the 2 big incidents for you in the race, or did you have a few others along the way as well?
Yeah, really only 2 big incidents, both of them coming from me. It was funny. Not really the greatest performance, I would say, by myself. But our first one, we were only about 4.5 hours in. We were going down into the first Mulsanne chicane, and track was like drying up a little bit, took dries and put it in. I actually ended up with a penalty. I locked up coming into it, and there was another GTP sitting on the side of the track, and I didn't have really anywhere to go, and I just hit him enough to give us wheel damage, and we took the fast repair then since we were ahead.
Everybody knew that there was going to be rain during the race in the lead up. How did your team approach getting up to speed in the rain, and how much practice did you put into wet weather running?
We held a few private sessions leading up to the race with weather changes, coming out of rain, going into rain. I think that helped us a lot. We found that it was fastest to just, especially if we were leading, just pound through those wet tires until there was like no grip in them, and until we absolutely knew it was dry, so we didn't make the wrong call and go on dries while it was still wet and risk lots of repair time.
Yeah, I think the safety first approach was definitely the way to go with the crossovers, because not only was it hard to tell exactly where that crossover was. I'm sure that there's some people that have more skill and ability than me that were able to do that better. But not only did you not know exactly when that right time was, but there would also be the odd bit of standing water or puddle somewhere where, especially in the faster classes, if you had to go offline and you hit one of those that you didn't know was there, or that you had no choice but to hit it, and you were on the slick tire, it was a one-way ticket to the fence. So I think, the safety first approach was definitely the way to go.
Yeah, definitely helped us. Going into rain, it was again that safety first approach. Okay, the rain's coming. Let's look at the radar. And then as soon as the driver on track was like, hey, it's getting to the point where the slicks are they're probably faster still, but just want to be safe. Don't want to push it an extra lap. Let's just box and take the wets. Definitely helped us, especially with the second bit of rain, which I believe was about just under 3 hours of rain, and then it dried up for a little bit. That definitely helped us there because it actually pulled us stint-wise right in line with when it ended and when it started.
Yeah, there was a lot of little strategy plays and things that you could do during the race. I suppose because it was a timeline, there was no ambiguity around when it was going to start raining, when it was going to stop. There were a few little things that you could do, along the way. Like you said, like you could throw the wets on a lap or two before it started raining, knowing that it was coming. And not only did that mean that obviously you didn't have to stop again, but you would actually gain time on some other cars, because even if they only had to do half a lap or 2/3 of a lap, once it started raining, the amount of time that they would, you would gain anything that you'd lost by running the wet tyres for a lap or two in the dry. That's something that our team employed a couple of times actually to try and get a bit of time back. And so, yeah, that was cool from that perspective. But yeah, was this the first time you've done the Majors 24 with us?
Yeah, actually, I really only picked up iRacing fully back in January, so it hasn't been that long since I started. But yeah, this is the first time I've done a Majors event and Majors 24, and I'm sure I'll be back next year as long as I'm still doing iRacing. It was definitely fun.
Yeah, certainly glad that you joined us for it. And there are other Majors products are available if you enjoyed the experience, both for an individual and a team perspective. Yeah, hopefully we get to see you, if not before the Majors 24 again next year and some of those other ones. Yeah, at least back again for that. But yeah, thanks for coming on and sharing a little bit of your experience. And yeah, thanks for joining us for the Majors 24 this year.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, so we've heard from a couple of the competitors and their experiences of the 24. And for a slightly different perspective, we've got the Split 4 broadcaster, Morgan Cook, with us to give his view on the event from the broadcast booth. Morgan, thanks for coming on to have a chat.
Yeah, you bet. Glad to be here. Appreciate the opportunity.
So the deal to broadcast Split 4 came together quite late for yourself. Can you give us a little bit of a rundown on how it was that you came to be involved in the broadcasting of the Majors 24 for this year?
Yeah, certainly. So I was sitting on the couch, quite literally, and this was Thursday night before the race happened Saturday morning. Well, I'm sitting on the couch, nothing too crazy happening, and I get a message from Strovic from simracingnation.com, who is Discord that I've become quite a good partner with. They help V-Speed quite a bit here in recent past. And he's like, hey, Majors is looking for a broadcaster for the 4 split. Seems like a pretty good opportunity if you're available for it. Are you interested? And I was like, yeah, of course I'm interested in the Majors 24. So I quickly got put in a group chat, and we were just quick chatting about, hey, what is required? I could run my own show, could basically be a V-Speed broadcast, just with a different canvas, if you will, being that it was a Majors event. And the only rub was that I could only have a color commentator for the first 2 and last 2 hours. So I said, to heck with that. We're just going to do the whole 12 by myself. And that's what we did.
Broadcasting on your own, not easy. So what were some of the strategies that you took into the broadcast to try and get through it as a lone ranger?
I've never had a shortage of things to talk about in any situation. So that helps, of course. Just me, generally, I talked a lot about many things. But one thing I found is there's so many different classes and there's so many different battles going on within those classes. Obviously, you have the overall. Obviously, there's your LMP2, which you were successful in. And then there's the GT3 class. So having a look at what cars are being run, who's fast, who qualified well, and just basically repeating those general topics every hour or so. And then for the time in between, let's go through the running order. Let's have a look at who's on the move right now. Let's ride on board with somebody this lap, something we haven't talked about yet, or anything like that. It wasn't until about 4.5 hours into the broadcast that it was relayed to me that, hey, you need to interview drivers and things. I'm like, oh, I should do that too. And that obviously helped fill out a lot of that second broadcast. You're familiar with that one, because I think I talked to you 2 or 3 times in that 6-hour window.
Yes, a couple of times you came and joined our team. Once I was in the driver's seat, and a couple of other times when others were driving as well. That was something that was new to the Majors 24 this year, having those Discord channels that teams could choose to reside in, if you like, so that they could be interviewed by the broadcasters. Is that something that you've done before with other leagues? And how did you find the ability to be able to go and talk to the competitor during the broadcast?
Yeah, it's something I've done before. Typically, though, I do a lot of oval races, a lot of oval leagues for V-Speed, and we typically don't talk to drivers under green, oval being usually fairly competitive, drivers close to each other. You need to hear what the spotter is saying, driver inside, driver outside, that sort of stuff. So we try not to interrupt while they're racing. So that was a little different in that regard. But we do interview drivers under caution all the time. Stage winners, drivers leading the race, if we're coming down to the nitty gritty of it, drivers who just missed a big accident, whatever the case is. Definitely not new to interviewing drivers in the race and interviewing drivers after a race as well.
The Majors 24 is the blue ribbon event of the majors every year. Obviously, 11 splits this year, over 600 teams, more than 2,000 drivers. Your sphere being largely oval based, is the majors something that is on your radar or was on your radar prior to getting involved?
Yes, it was. So I am part of a group of drivers who we have done most of the endurance races, the iRacing official endurance races. I've been a top 3 finisher at Daytona the last 3 years, just can't seem to get the number 1 spot. And we've also done Spa, Sebring, Watkins Glen this year, and a bunch of others. Obviously, majors and running at Le Mans is one of the ones that's on our bucket list to do. And one of my teammates that I typically run with, he was able to race in, I believe it was the 5th split. He was either bottom of 3rd split or top of 5th split. He just missed the 4th split that I was broadcasting. So that would have been a cool little moment for me. But it's on the radar to be maybe not a driver in, but to be a crew chief, strategist, something like that, just to be involved in such a marquee event on the iRacing calendar.
In terms of Split 4, having seen at least 12 hours of it, was there anything that really grabbed your attention that you remember as a standout moment from the race?
Yeah, the last 30 minutes in both the GT3 class and the GTP class was very exciting from my point of view for a couple of reasons. We'll start with the GT3 class. I don't exactly remember the team names, but the leader was a full lap ahead of second. And second place, in trying to pass them, ended up making what I'm going to call now, because it was reviewed, a fairly intentional move in sideswiping the leader. Leader crashes and doesn't retain the lead. And that was wild just to see, like, wow, we're down in the last half an hour. I think that was with 15 minutes to go. And the leader who had this race locked up, as long as they didn't crash, crashed. And things changed in a big way. And then obviously that was reviewed later. And I think Banana Racing ended up being the winners of that class, even though they finished 3rd technically, or 2nd technically, crossing the line. And then the GTP class, the leader was out by a fair ways, like something like 40 seconds. But second place had fresher tires and was considerably chewing into that gap by a couple seconds a lap. And they got it down to within, I think, 8 seconds as they hit the checkered flag. But there was always doubt of who was actually going to win that overall, because second place was charging so hard. And it was such a fun battle to watch because we could bounce between leader, bounce between second, watch the gap. We're seeing both drivers make slight mistakes, cars wiggling, pushing over curbs, just trying to make as much speed as they can to not lose the Majors 24.
Those are the sorts of experiences that, from the team's perspective, that's what we all want, right? You always want to be the one that wins, but you also want to have, those on-track battles. You want to live the experience that we're all pretending that we're real awesome racing drivers. So it's really cool when you get to see, even if it's not your own team, you get to see other teams, sort of going through that and living those moments.
Yeah, absolutely. It was incredible to watch. And again, I'm very glad to be part of it and would absolutely welcome the opportunity to do it again, whether it be for 4th split or a different split or whatever have you. It was such a great opportunity for both myself and for V-Speed to be on a stage like that. You may not know this, but the first 6 hours smashed V-Speed's previous record of concurrent viewers, most viewers on a stream, and most views on a stream. Just absolutely smashed it. And then the later show, the one that happened in the wee hours of the morning to the checkered flag, that is currently the 3rd highest for all of those metrics on V-Speed's channel. So it was absolutely a landmark moment for the channel and for us being able to just have an opportunity to work with majors in this event.
I can certainly say from a personal perspective, having been in the split and worked with you and during and after, it was certainly a pleasure to have you along. It's great when we get to meet and work with other professional entities in this space, in the sim racing world. Thanks for coming along at very short notice and doing that broadcast for the majors. We really appreciated it. We thought the product was great. And thanks for sharing a few thoughts with us on Inside the Majors here as well.
Absolutely. Again, thank you for the time, and I definitely appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Okay, so next up, we've got Dylan. Welcome to Inside the Majors.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
So, Majors 24, tell me, was this your first experience of running the Le Mans race with the Major Series?
Yes, it was. It was also my first experience running GTPs. And yeah, my first experience with a lot of rain on track as well.
So, everybody knew that there was rain coming in the lead up to the race. How did you and your team approach getting ready for it?
I didn't realize there was going to be as much rain as there was. My team did a lot of the wet practice. I said to them, hey, I'm probably not going to be that confident in the rain. I managed to get maybe one clean lap in an hour of rain practice before the actual event. So I wasn't expecting to drive the GTP in the rain at all that weekend.
So, the plan was you would take on the drier stints and then everybody else would take over the car when it was wet. Was that the plan?
Essentially, yes. I didn't want to ruin their race because I was very nervous. This is my first endurance event in general. I have only been sim racing since April. So I'm new to the whole thing. I just knew I wanted to do an endurance event and I wanted to sit there and crack jokes, talk shit with other guys while we tried to win a race that goes for a really long time.
And so, how did the race go? How did it pan out? What was the evolution of the race for your team?
Well, we finished, which was great. I think we started 19th, if I remember right. And there was a lot of people being super aggressive to our first driver, James. So he was just letting people pass, letting people take him. We can, obviously, it's 24 hours. You've got a lot of time to do that catching up again. Unfortunately, there was a few issues with the cars in front of him, which caused him to go off track and hit a wall. So that gave us our first 6 minutes of repairs, unfortunately, which pushed us back. I can't remember to what position now, but that was our first major incident, major thing that went wrong. And to put it in perspective, we had 36 minutes of repairs over the whole 24 hours. I know a lot of people left and all that kind of stuff, which gave us a good position. But yeah, we started 19th. We ended up at one point in 29th and finished in 7th. So yeah, it was great. We all put a bit of an effort in. We all made love to walls and yeah, still got a decent result in my eyes.
Yeah, making love to walls, I think, was a pretty common event for most people, or certainly something that, even if people didn't want it, it seemed to be happening over and over again. As I alluded to in the story of my race, we were the only car of the 57 in our split that didn't use our fast repair.
It's great.
Yeah, it's
With the amount of water on track, that is insane that you guys didn't use your fast repair.
Yeah, and that was our strategy from the very beginning, was just don't make the mistakes, and it worked out for us. But yeah, I think basically everybody at some point found themselves running into something. So, whilst the plan for you was to stay in the dry, I'm assuming you found yourself on a wet track at some point. So how did you go with that?
It was, to put it lightly, a trial by fire. It came to a point where, because we separated ourselves into duos, and that's how we ran it. So there was always 2 people available to drive at any given point in case something went wrong, such as one of our boys had internet issues. Instantly, he's out of the car, the other guy's in. So there's always someone there to back him up. During the period of my partner and I, we were trying to break it up so that I got into the car during the dry periods, which that worked the first time. But then as we were looking at the forecast, we're like, there's maybe only going to be 5-10 laps of dry periods here and there. And there's no point in going into the pits to swap drivers for 10 laps. I just put my hand up. I'm like, bro, I'm going to just have to do it. Just let me get in the car. I came out of the pits. First thing I did was spun around and almost hit the wall twice. But from that point on, I managed to keep it relatively clean, which was crazy because I had no faith that I was going to bring that car back in one piece at all.
I will say, in the GTP on cold tyres, even some very, very, very highly rated and experienced people were doing some similar things in the conditions the way that they were. So I certainly don't think you're alone.
I could hear it in their voices. As much as they were trying to pump me up, there was a lot of doubt there. And there was a lot of doubt coming from me. Even getting into the car, because I don't think I got into the car until well over the 8-hour mark. So when I actually got into the car, even in that first dry period, I was so nervous. I was like, I don't want to ruin this for these people that have let me drive with them. Like, I barely know them. I've been sitting here cracking jokes, making fun of them when they do silly stuff. And now it's my turn to go drive this car and bring it back to them in one piece. And I think for my first couple laps, I was shaking. Like, my heart was going 100 miles an hour. And yeah, it was just nerve-wracking.
As I said when I was talking with Mike earlier, the cars might be simulated and on a computer, but the pressure and the competition is real. So you really do feel it.
Oh, yeah, completely. At the end of the day, racing's racing, whether it's a digital form or in real life. To be completely honest with you, I cried a little bit when we crossed the line in 7th, because it was such a massive journey of us having all these issues. Each one of us hit the wall at least once, which the one time I hit the wall was at the end of my last stint in the wet, but we all had to have our turn. But yeah, like coming across that line, even though it was 7th, that was still 24 hours of us trying to claw our way back from in the 20s back to that position. And it was emotional for me. I don't know about the other boys, but yeah, for me, like, I shed a little bit of a tear.
Yeah, it's one of the things, it's a combination of relief, lack of sleep, the pressure, all the emotions you've gone through, the ups and downs over a full 24-hour period. It can come out at the end. It's one of the things about endurance racing. It can definitely have that effect. And I think that's why so many people, whether it's our event at the Majors 24, we've got over 600 teams and more than 2,000 drivers, the big official events on iRacing. That's one of the things that people are out there chasing, is that feeling, that experience. And it's a real thing, having emotion at the end of a 24-hour race.
Oh, for sure. I grew up racing motocross and I raced it at a relatively high level. And yeah, it's the same feeling. Like, if you win a race, if you lose by just that much, it's the same sort of feeling across the thing. And especially with the 24 hours, the preparation that goes into it is a lot for people. It's a big demand, especially for people who have families, that kind of thing. You've got to block out 24 hours to go drive. But I love the strategy of it and everything. It's great. I've done bar since then and a few of the shorter 3 and 6 hour races.
Since you said you only took up iRacing in April, if you've caught the endurance racing bug, you need to go and start banking as many brownie points as you can, mate, because you're going to find yourself attached to a computer for extended periods of time. Quite a lot in your future, I can tell.
I look after my grandmother full time, so I have to make sure she's okay with it. I have been yelled at already.
We all love doing it, and we all do it as much as we can, but there is always a payoff because real life happens. It really does. Now, I just want to step back just one little bit. You said you did motocross quite a bit, so I've got two questions. One, tell us a little bit about what you did, and two, what was the coolest injury you suffered from it?
Ooh, the coolest injury. I broke my neck when I was 7 years old. They didn't discover it until a month later, until they took it to a child specialist that pointed out the fracture in one of my vertebrae. But yeah, that was the coolest thing. There's a lot of other injuries, of course. I grew up racing in the Northern Territory in Darwin. My dad was a pretty big enduro bike rider up there, a well-known name. I did a lot of motocross and shorter enduro races when I was a kid. Traveled interstate to Australian titles, did a lot of NT titles, that type of thing. Unfortunately, when I was about 12, he passed away. So all that went out the door when we were traveling all over Australia with me racing. So I didn't get to see the fruition of it. Tried to go back to it when I was 18 and put my shoulder up near my head, dislocated it, broke the cup, and said to myself, I'm not going to get paid to do this, so I can't really race that seriously anymore. I need to just focus on my work. And that's where it ended. I still enduro ride and that kind of thing, but nothing too serious. I don't want to break myself. I have a little gremlin in my head that likes to say, go faster until I crash.
Obviously, the sim racing world lets you get some of that adrenaline without the physical risk and without the financial risk as well.
Yeah, to be honest, like my whole sim rig is things I could find around the house to build, like stuff. I'm rocking a G920 with the most like mad scientist customized pedals to try and make them feel good. Plus, like the base of my rig is an old static roller with some other stuff that I've thrown on it to make it feel like a decent kind of rig, because I got sick of sitting at my desk and I'm like, how can I do this without spending any money? And so the chair is, so people that live at retirement homes and stuff, they have these chairs where you can change the height of them and everything like that. I've used that chair because my nan didn't like it anymore. I've cut it so it has a laid back feel to it. I have created a backrest and used like straps and stuff so it hugs you like a real race seat. And then for the frame around it to connect it to the actual rowing machine is a random aluminium frame I had that used to hang up clothes and all that kind of stuff. And that's all tacked together and put together to feel like a real race seat.
Okay.
It's quite the contraption.
I think this I need a photo of. Keep an eye out on the Discord, listeners, for a photo of that. I'll try and get it as the image for the podcast episode. If I can't figure out how to do that because I'm technically challenged, then I will post it in the announcements channel when I posted this podcast. So go to the Discord and check that out. But Dylan, just bringing it back to the Majors 24, you haven't been doing iRacing for very long, and you said you didn't know your teammates hugely well. So how did you come to the team that you're with? Who were you with? And how did that all come about?
Found the Almeida Racing Academy server a little while in because I was getting frustrated that I couldn't go as fast as these other guys or the ghosts that I was chasing. I was like, well, how do I do this? I was trying to mix with people, trying to talk to people, see if there's teams or something going, and this guy pops up called Jared. Jared invites me to the Sim Racing Nation server and goes, oh yeah, this is our team. This is who we're going to be doing it with. 2 days later, so I've spoken to Jared at this point. I've got a bit of a rapport with him. I know who he is. A couple of days later, he's like, oh, I can't race anymore, boys. So he leaves me there with these 3 other people. I don't know. They're all talking about setups and blah, 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 and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, cool. Guys, I don't know how to drive that good. They're just encouraging me. You'll be fine. It's all good. But yeah, I think during the practice, I didn't get that much time to really practice. I had that 1 hour of rain practice and I got frustrated. I was like, eh. But during my practices, I think the fastest lap time I got was a 3:38. And the other boys on our team were putting in 3:28s to 3:30s. And yeah, that was how it was. Throughout the week, we were doing qualifying because it actually only got thrown together, the whole group, that week before when all the qualifying started. I sent the boys a message. I was about to go to bed one night and they go, hey, have you done your qualifying? Or I asked them about qualifying. Can't exactly remember. But I was like, oh, that's fine. I'll just go to bed. There's another 6 qualifying sessions because I thought it was every hour on the hour. And one of them goes, no, bro, there's only 3 more qualifying sessions. And I hadn't even signed up to, is it the Majors 24 website that you have to sign up to get the invite to the actual qualifying sessions to join them?
You have to join up to the Majors 24 League in iRacing, yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I hadn't done that. So I did that. I spammed it a few times. And one of the other guys was like, don't do that. It might be a bot that automatically accepts. If you spam it, you might not be able to join. I'm like, yeah, but bro, I'm panicking. I need to go to bed. Then it's going. I go lay on my couch and I'm just looking at my phone. He goes, go check it. So I check it on my phone, the iRacing app. I've been accepted to the league. But the thing is, the qualifying lobby that I wanted to get into has 20 minutes left in it. And you got to put 4 laps down. So I sprint down my hallway to my rig, go to stop out the front of my door, fall ass over head, smash my phone screen, hurt my knee, get up, jump in my rig. I said to the boys, look, I'm just going to take it easy, just set my lap times. I know I'm not going to be as fast as you guys. And one of the other boys in our squad, he uses the cat smiling face instead of the normal smiley face that everyone uses, the emoji. And I look at it and I go, did you just call me a pussy for just going slow and setting a lap without going off track? He's like, no, that's not what I meant. I'm like, righto, mate, then I'm going to send it. During that qualifying session, I set a 3:32 lap time, which was 6 seconds quicker than any of my practices. I'm like, all right, you need to call me a pussy more often because obviously it works. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
I think that might be my favorite story of this whole podcast.
Oh, and this is the crazy thing. I only found this out the other day. I thought that G920s just didn't have much force feedback. And this whole time, and even during the Le Mans 24, I had zero force feedback. I just thought that's how it was. And everyone's like, how are you driving with no force feedback? I'm like, I don't know. I thought that it just didn't have any force feedback. But there was a Windows app that was interfering with the Logitech software and not giving me any force feedback. So once I actually have force feedback now, I'm so much faster. It's crazy. But yeah, during that whole period, zero force feedback, nothing, nada. You could get 2 fingers on that wheel. You could just turn it as much as you wanted.
Over the next couple of months, you're going to find a whole bunch of other stuff just like that. And you're just like, why did no one tell me this was the case? Or how did I not realize that that shouldn't have been the way that it was? Because, yeah, between Windows, the various hardware manufacturers for sim racing gear and iRacing itself, the number of little tricks and things to trip up on are endless. So, yeah, you've still got plenty more of those to discover, I can promise you.
Oh, yeah, I don't doubt it. Oh, I'm pretty computer literate. I've grown up around computers. I can build them, that type of thing. But I just got sick of it one day and I searched up and it's like, yeah, Windows controller game service or something is interfering with the Logitech like software and it gives you no force feedback. I was like, you're joking. So yeah, I'm waiting to see many other things that pop up that do the same thing. I'm hopefully looking at getting some load cells soon because I'm over these pedals. They are the me.
It is a long, winding, and expensive road you're about to embark on, my friend. But you'll enjoy it every step of the way. I can promise you that. And hopefully, I suppose my last question needs to be: has the phone screen been fixed?
So it didn't actually crack it. It cracked the camera lens somehow, but it somehow damaged the LCD screen. So I've got green lines that pop up every now and again, but it works still. The knee's fine too.
Sorry, I should have been asking about your health before I asked about your device, but yeah.
No, that's okay. Knees can be replaced.
Dylan, if there's anyone you'd like to thank from your team or shout-outs you'd like to make, feel free now. But otherwise, really, thanks for sharing your experience of the Majors 24 as your first endurance race on iRacing. I'm glad it was with us, and hopefully you'll come back to do some more with us as well in the future through the Endurance Championship or anything else that we do. But yeah, if there's any shout-outs you'd like to give.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, Jared for getting me to Sim Racing Nation. But Strovich, the guy that runs Sim Racing Nation, Grey guy, he helped every step of the way. Great liaison with everyone else. Cam, James, and Arnaf, my teammates, thank you for putting up with me. It was great. We're obviously going to be doing more in the future, but yeah, Sim Racing Nation's been a great server for me to be a part of with the community nights, everything like that. It's just, they're great people. And yeah, they do a lot of endurance events and Strovich organizes all the teams, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, he does a great job of doing it. And I'll definitely be back at one of those Majors 24 events. I want one of them coins and I'll be coming for it.
iRacing broadcasts and also the broadcasts of the top splits of the Majors 24 focuses on whether it's esports teams or really high level teams. But the bread and butter of the Major Series is teams that are made up of exactly people like yourself, Dylan. So it's great to hear your stories today on Inside the Majors. Thanks very much for coming on and sharing it.
No stress. I hope to come back on in the future and share some more stories. Maybe ones that are filled with less chaos and more winning, but you know, a boy can dream. Thank you very much.
So I hope you've enjoyed those stories. The podcast will be going back to its regular release of about every 2 weeks for the rest of the year, all things going well. In 2 weeks' time, we'll be catching up with what's going on around the Majors special event, which will be held in September, a 6-hour race around Road Atlanta with a little quirk. And also what the plans are for the MEC in 2026 and how people can start to get planning for those. So hopefully we'll catch up with you for that one on Inside the Majors in a couple of weeks' time. Catch you then. Enjoying the polar winds we're getting at the moment?
Bro, I love the cold weather. I love it. I sweat like a pedophile at a Wiggles concert, so cold weather is great for me.